Okay, thank you, Katie, for bringing us live. Good morning, everyone. I'm Bill Peterson, Executive Director with the Iowa State Association of Counties, and I'd like to welcome you to the National Opioid Settlement Allocations and Payments webinar. Today, we're joined by a number of guests, and I'll introduce them all here just in a minute. Again, as you were notified, this webinar will be recorded, so that if you or others were not able to attend, or you wanted to review the information, we should have that information up on our website shortly after this webinar concludes. So today we have really a number of important guests. So as this opioid settlement has been a long process, and I'm trying to remember if it was like 2017 when we first started engaging Iowa counties in the lawsuit against manufacturer and distributor. And that settlement sort of came to a conclusion late last year in 2020. It was 2021. So since that time, one of the activities that's taken a little bit of time has been the selection of a directing administrator for the National Opioid Settlement. And today we're joined by two individuals, Roma Petkauskas and Andrew Oxenreider from Brown Greer. Roma, sorry if I hope I got the name close, but they are in a minute going to be talking to us about the allocation and the payment process and steps that need to be taken by you as county officials to receive that first payment. Attached to the webinar notice was a document that showed the first allocation estimate, and I'm sure that that's going to be shown on the screen a little bit later. But additionally, besides Roma and Andrew, we have Krista Bache, who's with Kruger Dickinson law firm. Kruger Dickinson represents 66 of the 99 counties. There are 33 of the counties that are unrepresented by council, but still receiving an allocation under this settlement. So it'll be important for them to understand the steps that they need to take. Also, traveling, but probably available to answer question, Aaron Dickinson, also with the Kruger Dickinson law firm, and someone that all of you have probably heard from many times over the last couple of years. And then we're also joined by Andy Phillips, who is with the Adels Law and is also general counsel for the Wisconsin Counties Association. And we might have him spend a few minutes at the end, if we have time, talking about securitization as a potential activity, because the state of counties in Wisconsin have undertaken that, and Andy's been working with that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Roma and Andrew and see which one of those will be picking up the ball here.
Hi, everyone. So I will start. We're very happy to be here and to share the information with you on the steps that we'll need to take to provide and make payments to you. So I will focus on the technical aspects. And as Bill mentioned, we are the directing administrator to administer the distributor and the Janssen settlements. We are currently focusing on the year one distributor payments. The same flow and system will continue on for the remainder of the project. But what we wanted to introduce you to first is what steps you will need to take to register with us, give us the payment instructions so that the payment will flow. I think following me, Krista will talk about probably steps that will need to happen before we get here. But let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, can you see it? Okay, great. So the first step that will happen when we say that the state is ready for payments and all the subdivisions are ready for payments, you will receive an email from us that will ask you and invite you to create a portal account with us. So that email will come from directing administrator at nationalopioidsettlement.com. If you want to take a minute now and just to jot it down and maybe whitelist it, and then also think about it when you know we're sending the emails that it could go to spam. So just think about taking steps to monitor and look for the email from this email address. And then when you get it, know that this is the official communication from us. It will be addressed to each authorized representative from the subdivision that we have on record with us. So it typically is a person who provided registration information in the earliest stages of the participation. If we are addressing the email to you and you are not the authorized representative, then there are steps to correct it. So one of the first steps is, as we say, if you believe you are not the authorized representative, tell us by calling us or emailing us. If you are the authorized representative, but you need someone else from the finance department or other authorized person to be able to log into the portal and give us payment instructions, you will be able to add other people who can access the portal account. Okay, so the first step is you'll get this email from us and it will invite you to create this portal with us. You will click the link here and then it will take you to the screen to create the portal account where, as this email says, you will create an account for yourself. You can create, give us the general information. You can add other authorized individuals, and then you will give us payment instructions. Okay, so after you get this email and you click the link, it will take you to the step to create the portal account. Okay, here when you click the link, it will take you here. It will ask you to give us your name. Your name is your name as an authorized representative. It will ask you for your address. And then it will have your email address, the one we sent it to, and then you will have to create a password. And then after you finish that step, just giving these basic 5 or 6 data points, the next step will be you will click create the portal, and then it will give you a success. If it's anything than a success, call us, email us, we'll be right back with you with answers to help you navigate through the portal. But we have not seen many issues or at all any issues in creating this portal account. Okay, so after you create the portal account, then anytime you want to come back, you will go to the official website, and then we'll give you the URL for it. You'll always be able to come back here, put your login, your password, and you will be able to log in. Okay, so what is this portal for? This portal is, well, before I get to that, a couple other things. When you create the portal account, there will be a portal account holder agreement that you will have to acknowledge, and the security privacy policy that you will have to accept. These are standard documents that we just ask you to click through to use the portal. Okay, so what is this portal for that I'm so excited to share with you about? Andrew will demo how it looks and what information we'll collect from you. And basically, these are the payment instructions that we will need from you to pay your share of the yearly payments.
All right, so I'm going to try to share my screen now. And there we go. You'll see that? Okay, so as Roma was saying, this is sort of the first screen that you will see when you log into the portal. And I should point out that this is what we call our train environment. So this is the data that you'll see here is all sort of made up. I mean, I think Banner County is an actual county in Nebraska, but everything else you see is what we call dummy data. It's we just use it for purposes of developing and testing the functionality. So so this is an example that an authorized official from Banner County in Nebraska might see when they log on to the portal. This is the first screen, just with sort of some basic overview, and it's got our contact information here. And then I should point out every state that we're working with has a designated case manager from our office, from Brown Greer, and that person will sort of be the go-to person for any sort of technical questions or questions about how to use the portal or timing. That'll be your point person. So all of the counties in Iowa will have the same case manager who will be sort of an expert on Iowa. Roma and I will be there for support, but our purpose is really more kind of to oversee the program. But we can certainly get involved if necessary. But that case manager is going to be sort of the go-to person for any questions you might have, and their name and contact information will be right there on that first screen, so that it's easy for you to see, and that'll get you directly to that person. So the lines of communication will be open. So once you're in the portal, I mean, the main thing we're trying to collect at this point is payment instructions. So the first step, I mean, profile is just kind of basic information, shows your login ID, email address, phone number. And then when you click on beneficiary administration, this is information about the county that you represent. So if you need to change any of this, you click this edit button, and you won't be able to change the name of the beneficiary or the name of the authorized official. If those, I mean, you shouldn't need to change the name of the county, but the name of the authorized official should correspond to the email address of the person to whom we sent the portal registration email. And then, you can update the address and phone number and all that contact information here if necessary. The other important function on this screen is the manage beneficiary accounts function. So this is where, if you're the authorized official of a county, but you want to add other staff members and maybe somebody from a different department, you can do that. You can click on manage account holders. You can search for the folks who currently do have accounts. You can see all of the account holders within your county. You click see all here. Pending requests, like if I wanted to send, if I wanted David to be to grant him access to an account, I could do that through this create new account function, and this kind of shows the status of those requests that are pending. So if I sent David an email that said granting him access to the portal, this would show the pending request and give me the ability to revoke that if necessary. And then here, to create a new portal account, all you really need is the name and email address of the person that you wish to grant access, and that this will will initiate that process. So it's really easy to add folks to the portal account for your county. And the thing you should keep in mind is at this point, everyone within your county who has access to this portal has access to the same information. So it's just something to keep in mind that when you're thinking about who should be able to get into this portal. But it is helpful, to have more than one person with access. So once the beneficiary accounts are set up, kind of the main thing, as we've said, that we need here is your payment instructions, and that there's really two pieces to that. First is the payment election form. This is where you're going to tell us how your county wants to be paid, and there's two methods by which we're making payments. You can either elect to receive your payments by wire transfer or by check. And to do that, you click this edit button and just fill in the required information. So right now it's set to check. This one's pretty easy. You just give us the payee name, the attention field, if that's, if you want the check to be mailed to a specific person, and just the rest of the mailing address information, and then a signature. So that's, very, very basic, very standard. If you select the radio button for wire transfer, there's a little bit more information with the name of the account, the bank name, the account number, and then we have a field so you can confirm the account number to make sure that there's not a typo or some sort of error like that. And then we want the ABA routing number associated with the account. And this can be kind of a tricky point because you've got ABA routing numbers and then you've got ACH routing numbers. And a lot of times they're the same. They're both 9 digits. And for most banks, they're the same. But for some banks, they are different. So the best practice here would be to consult with the bank that holds the account and make sure that you're giving us the right routing number. And you can click on this little question mark here that kind of gives an explanation of the ABA routing number. We've been doing this for a little bit, and we have seen this is sort of the area where we see the most mistakes. Not that there are many, but it's kind of a confusing thing because they're both 9 digits. So just keep in mind, it's got to be the ABA routing number. If your wiring instructions include an intermediary bank, you would check this box. Give us the information for the intermediary bank. I think this usually is most applicable when the funds are being sent to like a brokerage. So it's not something that we see very often in this settlement. And then you can also select the checkbox for if your wiring instructions have additional instructions. And we've got 3 fields that would allow you to give us those additional instructions. And usually that's something like, it would be a designation like.
Hi, Andrew. Sorry to interrupt, but it seems like there might be trouble hearing you. Oh, okay. Seems like that's not.
I think it might just be on that person's end.
Okay, good. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I'm not keeping up with the chat. Sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, I mean, this is the form for wire instructions. And so the additional instructions here, usually that's something like counties will indicate something like opioid settlement funds or distributor year 1. I mean, it's really like an internal note so that whoever's receiving this wire knows what it's for. And then signature. And so when you submit wiring instructions or check instructions, we'll generate a PDF of the contents of the instructions, and they'll show up in the payment election forms down here. So this is just like a PDF of the information that you've provided on the payment election form, just kind of for your records. Let's see. All right, so we're going to move to W-9 forms. And this is something I'm sure most folks have heard of. This is a form that we need just that basically gives us the tax ID number of the payee and a few other key data points that the IRS keeps track of. So here again, well, I guess before we start, we do have a sample of the W-9 that you can look at here. If you click this, this is the actual sort of hard copy W-9, the most recent version. And it also importantly has the instructions. There's sort of a limit to the instructions that we can provide on this document because we're restricted from giving any sort of tax advice. But if you do have questions on the W-9, the best place to go is going to be these general instructions that are attached to the form itself. These are from the IRS and a very good source of information to the extent you have any questions. But it's pretty basic stuff. So it's name of the entity. Oh, and here again, you click edit. Name of the entity. This is going to be the name of your subdivisions or the name of your county. Business name probably won't apply. Tax classification, probably for most government entities, this would be other. And you would type something like government entity here. Address is pretty straightforward. Taxpayer ID number, it's going to be right here. And that's usually going to be an EIN as opposed to an SSN. Tax exempt. So you'll have to let us know if your entity is tax exempt. And to do that, you would check this box. Here you would give us the exempt payee code. And we've given some instructions here. So basically what this says is if you are not exempt, you would most likely get a Form 1099 at the end of the year or in January of the next year to show the amount of payments that you've received from the settlement program. However, I do believe that most, if not all, government entities are tax exempt, and the exempt payee code for a government entity is going to be 3. And again, this is something that's in the instructions. So let us know if you have questions, but that's what we see most often from subdivisions. So finally, it's the certification, and this matches up exactly with what's on the W-9 form, the hard copy. If for some reason your county is subject to backup withholdings, you would check this box, but I think that's going to be very rare. And then signature and accept and submit. And just like with the payment election form, any W-9s that you've submitted, we will create a PDF and show them in this table. So you've got a history of who submitted it, the date and time it was submitted, and a PDF of the form itself, just kind of for your records. So, and that's kind of it. I mean, that's at this point, that's all we need to make payments to the subdivisions. The screens have certain validations so that we make sure that you're giving us the kind of data that we need. Like if we're expecting a number, you should only be able to type a number in the field. There are certain characters that are restricted. Like you won't be able to put like a number sign or like a colon in some of the fields. And that's because of the way that the bank, when we send the bank these wire instructions, there are certain fields that their system doesn't recognize. So we call that out on the screen. So it's pretty, I think it's pretty user friendly, and it's really pretty simple. And then I guess the other thing I should point out is that we, once a state becomes eligible to receive payments from the settlement, the sort of cadence that on which we're issuing payments is the 15th of the month and the last day of the month. So if you get your payment instructions in before, if you get your payment instructions on the 10th of the month and everything is complete and good to go, then you would get your payment would be issued on the 15th. And there is sort of a cutoff. So the bank does need 3 business days to process the instructions that we give. So, like, for example, for the payments that we're making on July 15th, the cutoff for us to receive payment instructions for a county to be included in that disbursement cycle was the end of the day on the 11th. So I mean, that's basically it in the portal. It's really, I mean, the main substance is this payment election form and the W-9.
Can I pick it up from here?
Sure.
Yes.
Seems like a good segue, the timing of the payments. I want to touch base on 2 things. One, the timing and what we need to do on our end to get this portal moving so everyone can get access to the portal and you can get your information in to get payments started. And then second, I want to go back to the MOU and talk about some reminders from the MOU, discussions we have had with the AG's office and Bill and Christy, as well as Roma and Andrew, and talk about how we're going to handle some of the aspects of the MOU. So first of all, everyone should have hopefully seen by now a copy of the spreadsheet that I am now showing on the screen. This is a spreadsheet that, and I see Ryan did not get it already. Okay, so we'll circulate this again. For Johnson County, I'll make sure you guys get a copy of this. If there's other counties that have not seen this yet, I will include my, Bill, maybe after this, we can send it around one more time. And then we could also put my contact information in for counties that are not receiving it. And I can get it off to some of the other counties that I know are messaging right now and haven't received it yet. This sets out, I just want to give some.
Krista, I think Katie might have just put that document in the chat.
I did. Yep. It's in the chat.
Thank you, Katie. That short-circuited that question. All right, great. So that's coming around. This document is intended to set out the calculations that were performed by Brown Greer as the administrating entity of these payments for the Iowa first year distributor settlement only payments. And just very big picture, I want to explain the way that this is setting out the payments is based off of exhibits. I think it's M and F from the distributor, the big distributor settlement. Many of you probably remember that. It's like a 300-page document with all the exhibits. M shows the first payments from the distributors, how much those are, and exhibit F shows the percentages to each state. So that's where we have the identification of what amounts are going into Iowa. And then the second part where we're calculating the backstop and the amounts that go to the state of Iowa and the local subdivisions comes from our MOU, which I'm going to circle back on in one moment. But the intent of this spreadsheet is to show how that plays out in the first year payment amounts to each of the counties in the state of Iowa. And at this point, and one note on this, at this point, the backstop fund, that is an estimate, because as we revisit the MOU, which I encourage everyone to do so, again, even when we get off this Zoom, you'll see that the MOU contemplates a maximum amount of 15% in attorney's fees to the attorneys that represent 66 of the counties in Iowa. And we have some pieces of information from our contingency fee fund and our common benefit fee fund that are going to take some time for us to learn how much money the attorneys will be receiving from those funds before we can finalize the backstop calculation. So this amount right now that is set forth on the spreadsheet is just an estimate of what could be held back. None is being dispersed to any attorneys at this time. And to the extent our estimate is an overestimate, the amounts will revert back into the fund for distribution and future payments to the local entities. So that's just a very big picture overview of how this spreadsheet works. And I want to turn now then back to the MOU, which hopefully is now on the screen. Yes, the MOU, which many of you remember many months of us working through this process. The big picture concept of this MOU in Iowa, I will remind everybody of, is that we felt very strongly that the funds could be used or would be best used with decisions made at the local level of how the funds can be used to abate the epidemic. So 100% of the money we've agreed, I believe under the settlement agreement of the allocation of the opioid proceedings, we've agreed that 100% of what will come to the local governments will be used for opioid related expenditures. So the funds that are received from this settlement that go to the counties will need to be used in that fashion. And the decision we made at the time of this MOU was that the counties were best situated to decide how those funds could be used. But as I saw some people point out in the communications, the MOU does contemplate 2 or more participating local governments combining their respective amounts. It also contemplates reallocating funds to the state or sub-allocating funds to a city within your county. Sorry, I think I missed those sections in here. You can do both. I don't have it on the screen right now, but you can do both of those options. You can reallocate to an entity within your state or within your county, and you can combine your funds, or you can, here we go. Nothing shall prohibit a county from sub-allocating any portion of its direct distribution amount to the Iowa Abatement Fund. So that means it would go into the state's fund or to a city that is a participating local government within its jurisdiction. So in order for us to do that, the discussion we had with the AG's office most recently was that a lot of counties right now are in what I'll call summer mode. You're not necessarily actively meeting with your elected officials. However, we wanted to go ahead and get this payment process started. So we wanted to give some time to all of the entities to think about whether they did want to combine their funds and whether they wanted any of those funds to be reallocated back to the state fund or to a city. And so what our decision was let's go ahead and let's process the first payments. Let's get the approval for those first payments and get the process rolling so all of the counties can get registered and can get set up, but then also remind counties this is an option for you. So if you're intending to reallocate or if you're intending to combine funds, we just need that information in writing. And we need to then work with Brown Greer to get the calculations altered in that fashion. So those are the reminders on that the funds have to be used for opioid related expenditures, that participating local governments can forego the distribution, or you can reallocate it, or you can sub-allocate it. But in order for us to get moving forward with the registration in the portal process, in order for us to get the portal opened, we need to have consensus that there are no objections to the calculations that are on the screen right now. So as far as we know, well, as far as our review, I should say, is the calculations are accurate based off of the settlement agreements and the MOU. The only changes that would come into effect here are whether counties are interested in combining or reallocating funds in some fashion. And we can do, and on that note, if I haven't made this clear, and Roma and Andrew can correct me if I'm misstating this, but we can start this process with allocating the funds in this fashion. And then for payments in the upcoming years, remember the distributor settlements over 18 years, we can change how we're allocating them. So we could start in this fashion and then update it for the second payment, or even, the third payment, which is next year's payment. So you do have some time to talk to your electeds and your department heads and work through the best way you think that your particular county can use these funds. So I know that was a lot of information in a very short period of time, but I will stop my share, and maybe we should pause here just to see if there are questions that we haven't hit, if anyone has seen any.
Chris, so this is Erin. I just wanted to add one thing to that. Do we want to let everyone know what the time frame is for getting any, just objections and review of the calculations? Again,
Yeah,
we've reviewed the calculations and we think that they are accurate, but obviously you have every right as the counties to review them as well with the, with the exhibits to the settlement agreement and the MOU, and double check us. But we do have to move the process forward, have a, sort of a short window for folks to do that, so this doesn't drag on and payments get delayed. So if you want to address that, I think that's the last thing I would add.
Yeah, so my proposal would be that we make a deadline of Monday, July 18th, with the idea that we could get the portal open on the following day, the 19th, which should put Iowa in line to receive first payments on July 29th. I think that timing works. I guess if people have concerns about that timing, we should hear from everybody now. The reason I say Monday the 18th is because we also need the AG's approval on this spreadsheet, and Amy Licht is on vacation this week, so she won't be back until Monday. So,
Okay.
So that's my proposal. That would put us in line for July 29th distributions. Yes, okay, so let me back up on a couple things. The portal invitation has not yet gone out. It cannot go out until we have approval on the estimates. So as soon as we're all in agreement that there are no objections to the estimates, the portal can be opened. Then I see a question, these first year payments they are estimates only of the first year. The payments will vary based off the payment schedule, which is in Exhibit M to the settlement agreements. They're different. Remember, this is just the distributors, and the Janssen amounts are also different from the distributors. So the other aspect to the first year, which is different from future payments, is that there will be some costs that have not been calculated yet that will be taken out of the estimates that are in Exhibit M. For distribution. Roma, were you going to say? Oh no, I thought you raised your hand on that. So the payments will vary from year to year, but you can take a look at how the amounts that are set forth in Exhibit M, and you'll see that that the original amount coming into Iowa, how that changes And then everything would filter down from there based off the MOU, the percentages and the allocation. So going back to, I'm trying to check up. Yeah, okay, so if there's on the 18th, so the question about the 18th is that the spreadsheet that is in the, was emailed, this spreadsheet that was emailed to all of the county chairs and county attorneys through the ISAC email system. The question about the 18th is whether if that's enough a time to confirm we have no objections to this. So we have checked the math, and the math is accurate based off of the settlement agreements. So it would purely just be if anyone else saw an error or had a concern about the way that this was calculated for these payments. The ideal situation, I think, is that we have no objections and we move forward with getting the portal open, recognizing that this is just the first payment, and for second payment, third payment, future payments, counties can reallocate or sub-allocate the funds.
So Krista, could I,
Yeah.
let me just interrupt for a second. I just want to confirm with Katie. We included in the reminder that was sent out on Tuesday morning of the webinar, a link to the document with the settlement amounts in it. So Katie, can you remind me who all that email went to? Because we did send it to a number of designated groups, correct?
Yes, we sent it to the county auditors, board of supervisors, and county attorneys.
Okay,
It was
so
linked within the body of the email and also a button at the end, but we can absolutely forward that out again if anyone did miss that.
And we can, we'll circulate the MOU. The county attorney would have, I assume, a copy of the MOU, but I think I can,
yeah, I think we can, Krista, we can generate an email with the proposed allocation and the percentages. We can include a copy of the MOU. And one other thing that people have been asking about is the exhibit that talks about how the funds can be used. That's sort of been lost in the mix as well. So,
yeah. Okay, that is, and it is attached to the MOU. It's exhibit B or Schedule B to the MOU, I believe. So we'll get that around it's Exhibit 1 to the MOU. We will get that around. So I saw some other questions here. So the question about the board regarding objections, it would be my opinion, and Andy, if you're listening on this, let me know if you disagree in any fashion. It would be my opinion that we put the agreements in front of the board for approval. We put the distributor agreement in front of them for approval. We put the MOU in front of them for approval. The calculations in the spreadsheet do not deviate from those agreements. So it would be my opinion that it's not so much a board approval on the calculations. It's simply a matter of, are we ready to move this forward? And Andy, I don't know if you differ in that, but I think since the boards have approved the agreements themselves, there wouldn't necessarily be a reason to go back to them at this stage with the spreadsheet showing the calculations.
No, as long as there's consistency. I think you're right, Krista. If, for example, the allocation, we're going to shift from 50-50 on state local government, it would go to 60-40 state local government. That would need to go back to the boards because that's a material term, but I don't see it being material. I think you're right.
Yeah. So exactly. So on that, so just to clarify on that, to the extent that a county is looking at reallocation or sub-allocation, I do think that is something that you would need board approval for. But for this, getting just this process moving where we can get approval that based off the agreements as they exist right now, that there are no objections to it, we would then have, we would then be able to get the portal open and get moving forward with the payment process.
Right.
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate for the folks that are on the call, one of the reasons that we want to make sure that people agree with those allocations is the administrator will not be able to send out the instructions to you until there is some concurrence that those allocations are accurate. And so the sooner we get better, otherwise we're pushing to August 15th for the first payment that would take place.
And
Yeah, and I
Bill, just to put a fine point on that, it really is for everyone on this call, it is really just, did we miss a math error for the settlement administrator? I mean, there is no reauthorization of, is the allocation fair or this or that? I mean, we went through all of that when we did all of the documents that you all signed and approved through the settlement process. This is just literally, has the settlement administrator applied the math correctly per the agreements? In our view as lawyers, yes, they have. I assume the Attorney General's office is going to say the same thing. And it is literally just the only thing that we're asking anyone to do is, if you want to double check our math, you certainly may. If you want to double check the settlement administrator's math, you certainly may. But if we do not hear from you, we will assume there is no objection to it and move the process forward, because I don't anticipate anyone will find that.
Yeah, and that's to answer, a couple people have asked the same question in a different way. We really only need to hear from you if you have an objection. So we don't need an affirmative, this is approved. We just, if you see an error, or even if you have a question that you want to talk further about how it is done, I would think the best way to do that is to email me. I can put my email address in the chat, but most of you know my email address by heart, I think. If you see a problem or have an objection, email me by the end of Friday. And if it would be my position, if we don't hear any objections, that we're good to go and get this first payment rolling.
That makes sense to me, and thanks for everyone for turning to it. If you want to look at it, just let us know by then. And if not, we will assume that everybody that's looked at it is correct and that this is following both agreements, and we'll move forward and get people paid. So look at it. The point, I guess, is look at it. If you are intending to review and make sure that we're all correct on the math, great. If not, we'll assume that everyone is comfortable where we sit right now. I am personally comfortable that the math has been applied correctly, but everyone has the same right to review it as I do.
Just hitting a couple other questions. It's not 18 payments, one payment a year. There are actually 2 payments this year, and then 16 payments after that. So it's not quite 18 years. It ends up being, because we have a couple payments first, it doesn't quite work out that way. As far as an estimated total amount, we would have to look at Exhibit M, which shows the payment amounts each year, and apply it across the 18 payments. However, the caveat to that is we do not have final numbers right now of what costs have to be taken off in future payments. And also there is the backstop fund where amount is being reserved right now. But until the contingency fee fund and the common benefit fund is final, the backstop fund is just going to stay there. So it would be difficult right now on July 14th to have an accurate estimate of the total amount. I think there's a way to do rough amounts, but a total amount for a county would be difficult. And actually that would probably be a good segue to Andy, if you wanted to at least introduce the concept that the state of Wisconsin is taking pretty far down the line, and I think a few other states are on securitization. That kind of goes into that with the overall how much is coming in and what are the options that counties may have.
Yeah, is that the segue to me to talk a little bit, Krista?
I think it is, yes.
I'm going to try to give everybody a 30,000-foot view. As Mr. Peterson indicated, I'm an attorney in private practice, privileged to be co-counsel with Krista, Aaron, and others on the opioid litigation. I also serve as general counsel for the Wisconsin Counties Association, have done that for about 15 years. And so county government is in my blood and I love it. So thanks for having me here this morning. One of the things we've been looking at in Wisconsin, and frankly, Wisconsin can serve as the mousetrap model for the rest of the country, frankly, is trying to build a mechanism so that I know there are counties in Wisconsin and elsewhere that are saying, look, we don't want this money to come in dribs and drabs. We've got an epidemic we need to abate today. How do we dedicate resources to it today? Is there a way to liquidate the amount that would be coming in over the next 16 years and say we get it now? And there is a mechanism to do that. We've been working with folks at Citigroup, nationwide underwriter, who has a very strong investment desk with a lot of qualified investors looking to buy certain investments like this, of this nature. And we also are working with a group called PMA Securities, which is local here to the Midwest. They work in Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, primarily in the Midwest, from a financial modeling standpoint to say, what does it look like to try to bring this money in today as opposed to waiting for the next 16 years? And essentially what the seed I want to plant today is that the model we're looking at involves the outright sale of the revenue stream to a third party who would then issue bonds backed by that revenue stream. The proceeds from that bond issue would be utilized by that third party for the purchase price on the sale of the revenue stream from the county. And so it's unlike your typical general obligation or revenue-backed type financial transaction, whereby the county is pledging something in order to receive that money up front. The county isn't pledging anything here. This will not be any sort of general or limited obligation of the county. It's an outright sale. And that's important, at least in Wisconsin, because we don't want to trigger or impact other debt issuances by the various counties. And so when the proceeds, the revenue stream is sold to the third party, bonds are issued, that money comes back. Of course, the amount of money is what's important here. And I think that everybody is pretty well aware that the interest rate environment has been rather volatile the last 3-4 months, and we continue to see volatility in the future. And so it's very hard to predict exactly what the return is going to be, because I know everybody's question now is going to be, well, okay, if I sell my revenue stream, how much of a discount am I taking? And so what we're working on modeling right now, and we're in Wisconsin, we're pretty advanced in terms of that modeling. We've got the present value calculation for that 16-year revenue stream. We've got the present value calculation of the securitized amount, given some of the constraints and other opportunities that we have to reinvest those proceeds. So we're looking at it on apples to apples, saying, if I do not securitize, if I do not sell that revenue stream, over the next 16 years, I'm getting X dollars per year. What does that mean in today's dollars? And then if I do securitize, I know I'm getting this money up front. And if I do not spend it all and reinvest it, what can I expect in terms of a return? Or if I do spend it all, what is the present value associated with spending it all? And again, these are very preliminary numbers, but what we're seeing is a range of 55% all the way up to about 85% in terms of the present value calculation. Again, depending on the various inputs that we have on the assumptions related to the funds that we would receive and the use of those funds. And so we have right now a lot of Wisconsin counties that are very excited about the prospect of securitizing, because again, they have an issue that they need to deal with today. They can't afford to wait for 16 years. And so they are eager to get that process moving forward. Once that process moves forward in Wisconsin, we're going to see, and I've had discussions with Citigroup and PMA and Orrick Harrington Sutcliffe, who is National Bond Counsel on this, about expanding it to other states. We anticipate rolling that out very soon to start having those discussions more in depth about potential securitization. So just wanted to plant that seed. It's on the horizon. It's something that we're looking at. And I started this discussion with the concept of building a mousetrap. If we can take that mousetrap in Wisconsin and apply it elsewhere, I think that works to everybody's benefit. So stay tuned for further information on that, and happy to answer any additional questions that Krista, Aaron, Bill, others might have about securitization.
Yeah, so Andy, thanks. I think that we just wanted to introduce the idea of securitization at this meeting, but we would probably at some point in the near future have a much longer presentation on exactly what all the details of that are. But I think one of the first things that we wanted to do was, let's get this going and get the money flowing out to the counties with this first payment from the settlement. And then other things that we'll be doing is making sure that we provide information on appropriate uses of the funds, ideas of how we can handle abatement in the future, and other topics related to this. Roma, Andrew, any other final thoughts that you might have?
I will only say that we are very honored to be working with you, and we are here to help make the process work smoothly, efficiently. And if you have any questions at any point, let us know. Andrew, myself, and Jamie McHenry, who will be your case manager for the state, we'll get back to you, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo those comments. We're looking forward to it. Hoping to get some money out soon.
And just to hit on the last question I just saw pop up, I do believe the Board of Supervisors would need to be involved in a decision whether they want to reallocate. But I do not think that decision needs to be made before the first payment. I think that you guys can bring that up as necessary on your agenda. And we can alter payments going forward, and there's ways to deal with that kind of on the back end, I would say. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you all. Great questions today. I think we'll probably still send out some information. And
yes, one last question, Rome, I just want to ask is, can we at the Association of Counties receive sort of a sample email that you're going to be sending, so that if people call us, I can be looking at the documents that you're sending them, and we can help direct them back to the case manager or answer any questions that we might be able to answer in regards to this, just so that we can be of assistance in this process.
We will do that. Yes, I'll share the information before it goes out, and then we can coordinate on any questions that come up. Happy to do it.
Yeah, and we've found that's helpful if the subdivisions kind of know what to expect and who the email is coming from, and sort of the general sense of when it's coming. It helps cut down on questions on the front end.
Okay, well, I think we're good to go. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I really want to thank all the presenters for taking time, and they're all available to assist you as counties to make sure that we get this process rolling and get it done right. So with that, we'll end the webinar, and thanks a lot. Have a great day.
bye, everybody.